Recently, we've updated our DisplayLink terminology. The change here is predominantly to make people aware that the technology itself from DisplayLink actually is not limited by what we do with the platform, the host platform. This terminology is now going to be referenced as GPU-agnostic. GPU-agnostic is important in that the host platform itself, typically a lot of use cases when you want to add displays, you're reliant very heavily on the chipset and the GPU subsystem. This is why a lot of people you'll see actually close the lid of their laptop to ensure that they can open enough windows on their screens to get that productivity look themselves. With DisplayLink's GPU technology, you don't have to worry about that. It's absolutely straightforward in that the DisplayLink subsystem, the software itself, presents itself to the operating system as a virtual graphics card. Very similar in tech speak to the old graphics cards that you used to add into a PC desktop. So you take the side off the PC and you'd plug in a graphics card. You don't have that flexibility when you run with a notebook. With DisplayLink, effectively what you've got is that same capability, but it comes with software. So you install the software, it gives you a virtual graphics card which now bypasses all of the limitations or any impact that you have with the host notebook, and now you can add as many displays as you need. So moving to that ultimate workspace where you may have 6, 8, even 10 displays for traders, for home traders, workspace users that have a high intensity load that they need to be able to edit. All of that now becomes capable, and you don't need to go and change out the whole PC and buy something fresh. That flexibility gives you a lot of opportunity with regards to increasing productivity, increasing your flexibility, and optimizing your ROI. The other thing which is really important beyond GPU agnostic and the fact that it's a virtual software graphics card is the fact that all of the DisplayLink solution supports corporate install. This is very important for IT to know that they can roll out without any concern that software that we just discussed to all of the platforms across the business. And this is even more important with the influx of the new AI PCs. As AI PCs come to market, that differentiation between having Apple silicon, Intel silicon, ARM silicon, even Qualcomm silicon, it just doesn't matter. If you've got DisplayLink docking station solutions or adapters today, you've got a flexible solution that'll meet the needs of the entire enterprise going forwards.
So it's one of the ideas that it can really optimize the power consumption of these devices when you don't need to have such a huge chip to do a huge amount of bandwidth. Is it greener technology also? Is it?
In some respects, yes. In that if you were adding a very large graphics card, very often those graphics cards require increased power subsystems. So you've got to have multiple PCI slots to be able to install them. But it's really a flexibility thing, in terms of adding that capability onto a notebook. Nobody takes apart their notebook and adds in a graphics subsystem. So it's really about flexibility. But when you look at, you raise an interesting point with regards to power. We actually took our latest DisplayLink Pro Silicon and we've put it on a PCI card to enable people who have those small form factor mini ATX kind of solutions or embedded PCs to be able to utilize that PCI card with just a DisplayLink Pro DisplayLink graphics chip. And for that, you don't need to have huge fans to cool everything and subsystems to be able to power. It literally is just a small slimline PCI add-on.
And doesn't it give a lot of functionality potentially to lower cost devices?
It does. It gives a flexibility that can run from anything from a Chromebook. At a $150 Chromebook, you can now add multiple displays. The software from DisplayLink is embedded in those kind of solutions. So it's again a flexible approach. It's critical to a lot of businesses, but also educational departments. For people to have that flexibility to decide what platform suits you, not have to go and break the bank and buy the very latest notebooks and PCs, but to utilize what you've got and then incorporate DisplayLink technology to give you that added productivity. And the reality is, when you can see more data laid out, structured in front of you, your ability to process that data speeds up. So you get an optimized workflow by being able to work in this environment by adding more displays. And we just take away that limitation that in some respects makes it hard to add those displays. That all comes for free effectively with displays. When you add a DisplayLink solution, you can add as many displays as you need. And it's not limited by a single dock. A lot of people will buy a dock that supports 2 heads. We call 2 heads 2 displays. But if you needed 3 heads, or 4 heads or 6 heads. You can go and buy from accessory vendors a DisplayLink enabled adapter, daisy chain that behind the docking station itself, and add more and more displays as you need. So it's complete flexibility.
What do you say to people who are purists about compression?
So it's an interesting discussion. DisplayLink has had compression for years, and a lot of people, when we first started to do this, highlighted the fact that compression was bad. I think the reality now is that even DisplayPort with DSC, it's compression. It just happens that what DisplayLink has done with our compression capabilities to optimize on numerous levels. We're not like a light switch which is just on or off. You can consider it like hundreds of different levels that we can jump in and out to as we need. So if the bandwidth is fully available and we don't need to compress, we don't compress. But if we need to do more, and the reality is, if you think about your user workload, this changes by the minute. So, you may decide that you need to do a backup over Ethernet. That Ethernet is connected behind the docking station, which is still connected via USB. The bandwidth that you've got over the USB is still finite. Even it's increased in the last few years, it's still finite. So what we can do is to look at that bandwidth, constantly monitor, and adjust dynamically on the fly our compression algorithms based on usage.
It sounds so smart, and it's been going on for decades. What's the latest advancements?
Our latest developments are really the DisplayLink Pro solution. So DisplayLink Pro, a lot of people came to us and they wanted to incorporate more and more displays. And for this, you had to daisy chain chips together or put multiple chips into a solution. Of course, that leads to larger form factor PCBs and complexities and things like that. We were trying to simplify and optimize that. So what the team has done at Synaptics is really to now put support for up to 4 heads, 4 4K displays onto a single chip device. So now the flexibility comes in that you can have 1 display, 2 displays, 3 displays, 4 displays, all out of a single chip. So building a docking station now becomes incredibly simple. It's the heart of everything. But it's not only displays. We talk about displays, but that same silicon integrates Ethernet connectivity with the latest 2.5G capabilities. It also integrates audio. So everything you need, really the heart of the dock, is enabled in our DisplayLink Pro silicon.
And do you actually kind of guarantee that people will not see any quality deterioration in terms of the codecs are so smart, they will, is it kind of lossless or?
It really is. I mean, it goes from lossless to lossy based on how the compression works. But we always, there's numerous elements that we can tune. And the number one factor that's always looked at with the DisplayLink silicon and the software solution that goes with it is quality of service to the user. So we want to ensure that you get the best possible experience. In the early days, of course, there were some challenges and some problems, right? And technology just wasn't there capable to enable the solutions that we've got today. But with our latest silicon, it's really difficult to determine what is and what isn't under compression, what would be a DisplayLink screen versus a standard connected screen to a GPU. And the capabilities and flexibilities really offer you and afford you a great benefit today over what we had in the past. So I really recommend people to try out. If you haven't tried a DisplayLink solution, we've been in this market for a long time. Most people have around the world and know us very well. But if you need extra screens, this is probably one of the easiest ways to add more displays, increase your productivity, optimize your ROI, improve your cost base of what you've got, and just improve your workflow.
And we're here at Synaptics, and so what would you say about the kind of like integration of DisplayLink with DisplayPort, HDMI? Like one dock could kind of do everything, right? And do you actually do these kind of hybrid deployments, and why would people need that?
Great question. We're one big family. So the reality is, when DisplayLink came through acquisition with Synaptics a few years ago, we already had DisplayPort technology, we integrated DisplayLink technology. One of the first things we did was to look at how could we combine these two solutions in precisely a hybrid dock. And there's already hybrid docks in the marketplace, both with DisplayPort Alt Mode and DisplayLink, but also with Thunderbolt and DisplayLink. So people have looked at the Thunderbolt offering that's in the market today and said, we want more. We want to increase flexibility to users. Let's add a DisplayLink chip.
Increased compatibility.
It's increased compatibility, it's increased flexibility, it's increased display support. But we don't restrict any of that. As far as we're concerned, they're all conduits that enable people to connect more displays, and we can work with any of them. DisplayLink as a technology is not limited to go over any particular conduit. The way we packetize and compress the data enables it to run over everything. And that's why we've not only been able to do USB connected displays, but we've also even done wireless connected displays.
Would be good if a dock is, people don't need to know if the laptop is supported or not. It just works. Doesn't matter what. If you have DisplayPort, it goes there. If you don't have it, it do the DisplayLink. And maybe even if you have both, maybe give a, like if I have a MacBook, can I choose which way I want to use it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like maybe sometimes it's better to go DisplayLink even though I have multi-display support on DisplayPort?
Some partners have actually done this. So they've integrated switching logic within the designs that says, you know, if I've not got this kind of technology, then switch over and use these particular ports. Even the ports that you connect on the back, you know, into an HDMI or into a DisplayPort, we've got the ability to be able to hot switch if the logic is in the design. So from a technology perspective, it absolutely supports that, but it needs that peripheral switching logic to enable it to be possible.
And you built in with Chrome OS, Ubuntu, and Windows. It means Windows, multiple display, right? So it's the best way to use it. Do you have like statistics that multiple display makes people more productive?
There's a lot on the market, yes. I mean, there's so many studies that have been done over the years that when you add more displays, your productivity increases. And I think you can think of it in very simple terms. You know, it used to be that managers had a larger desk. Why was that? They have so much more to do. You know, if you have a stack of paper and you're trying to process what's in a page 3 or 4 pages down, it's difficult if you've got to keep them in that same stack. If you lay them all out in front of you, it's incredibly easy to see what's what. Exactly the same in a digital workspace. When you open up that digital workspace to be able to see more data visually in front of you, you're not having to commit it to memory, which means you're not making mistakes by just losing track of what a number might be, for example. But at the same point in time, you can cut, paste, track information, work with one document whilst we're creating something else. So it's great whether you're an accountant, a statistician, you're a developer, you're a creator, you're editing videos. It works in all of those environments.
And here, the Tech Day, the Synaptics Tech Day, it was amazing, those demos with these new technologies, with the sensors, and its perfect integration with the DisplayLink, DisplayPort dock, potentially, that suddenly you have all these displays and they get smarter, and you could integrate everything into one solution, right?
We're lucky. We're a company in Synaptics where we have so much across the portfolio which complements each other. So, you know, I talked earlier about wireless connectivity. Our Veros range that we launched yesterday is all of our wireless portfolio. So when we want to tie together displays and wireless, we have all that capability in-house. We talk about AI, and everybody's developing AI-based products. A huge amount of AI products are actually developed here at Synaptics, so we can leverage that capability. We're not just silicon, we have a huge amount of software capabilities. So it affords us a large flexibility in terms of utilizing benefits across the portfolio from the different divisions to build really compelling solutions going forward to the market, to our customers.
Like at the Veros, there was like the home hub that does a whole bunch of stuff there, and there you can have a dock, kind of like a hub for the office that improves your productivity, and you are like really adding some cool brains into people's lifestyle, right?
That's exactly right. And of course, as we introduce more and more devices into the home, which we do, you know, you look at your internet connection now and how many devices you've connected to your AP at home, it's not reducing, it's growing. And Synaptics builds with our IoT products a huge amount of those products into the marketplace, but we leverage across that the capabilities for us to be able to not only produce really bleeding edge technology that enables this future generation of products, but at the same point in time guaranteeing the interoperability between them. And that's really critical. You know, reliability at the end of the day is what users want. You want to be able to set and forget and just know it's always there and working.